I am pleased to be joined by Niko Medved, head men's basketball coach of Colorado State. Niko, always really great to us. Thank you so much for hopping on.
Oh, thanks, Justin. Anytime, man.
So, this is obviously the first time I've had a chance to talk to you since Tuesday night. Kind of a tale of two halves, I guess, if you will. You come out, get the double digit lead. Just what are your thoughts on the matchup and how it all kind of played out?
Um, yeah, I guess you don't have to be a sports enthusiast to say it was a tale of two halves, huh? Like you can kind of look at that. I mean, there's a lot of things you can look. Obviously, we played pretty well coming out of the gate. With a huge game going into their house after they were coming off a loss. I think they're 33-0 coming off a loss going back to Viejas. Thought our guys were ready to play. We showed that. Um, I thought, one of the things even early on when we had the lead, we were accumulating foul trouble, early in the first half too. Um, and that became, I thought, a huge factor as well in the second half, with us. And then, like every team, I mean, team that's got pride, a team that's as good and as great of a program as San Diego State has, they were going to come out fighting. And I thought, the most glaring thing for us early was the rebounding, right? Where we did such a
Yeah.
good job in the first half, and then we gave up some second and third opportunities that really ignited them. And instead of having the opportunity to get a stop and get out and transition and attack them when we got a stop, we weren't able to come up with the ball. And I thought those things really started the turn. And then I thought after that, I thought the major thing, Joel Scott only played 4 minutes in the second half. Him picking up his fourth foul on a really tough, just he got an offensive rebound, weren't able to finish, loose ball on the floor, dove, gets his fourth foul. We've got to take him out. And then when we put him back, he was playing pretty well. We put him back in, and literally, like the first trip down the floor, he gets a foul trying to guard Ledee in the post, and that was his night. And when you do that with the foul trouble Rashawn had with Pat turning his ankle, and it was crazy. As poor as it played, we still had the lead with 9 minutes to go, and then we had to play the last 5 minutes without a post player. Kyle Evans was going through concussion protocol, and then at that point in time, I kind of felt like the game had kind of been decided. But do that. Some of the poor offense, some of the shots we made in the first half obviously did not go down in the second half. We were not able to get to the free throw line, and we're not able to score inside. And so that's kind of a recipe for what happened. Obviously, I thought they really pushed the score up too in the last 5 or 6 minutes when the game had kind of been decided. But really unfortunate. Had a chance, obviously, in Viejas, but as you know, you've really got to learn, but then you've got to have amnesia and you got to be ready to quickly move on to the next one as in this league this year and really all over college basketball. You got to move on quickly and focus on the next task at hand.
I don't want to fixate too much on this one because I mean you had won four straight coming in. You were up double digits in three of four halves against the San Diego State team, but just kind of going back to what you said is the foul trouble maybe the biggest takeaway from this is that you got to find a way to kind of stay out of foul trouble because it just compounds.
I mean, I think that's one thing. I mean, I think that was obviously a major factor in that game. But despite that, I mean, we had some opportunities to rebound the ball, which we did so well for three halves against them, and we were not able to do that. And I thought that was really what started to ignite their run was that was the inability to come up with rebounds on the defensive glass when we had to. And I thought that was the takeaway. And then game started getting away from us. We had a couple of transition defensive errors. We obviously weren't able to score inside. We weren't able to get to the free throw line. And even though we had some good looks, they weren't able to go down. And so you've got to find a way to get some easy baskets. And we weren't able to attack them in the interior there in the second half very effectively. Game got really, really physical as you would anticipate. And And yeah, but there's no question the foul trouble, and some of that we had to do better, and some of the fouls, and then some of it was just kind of the way the game was being called, and we got to adjust. But he's a hard guy to play against if you're not able to get a little physical with him.
Yeah, I think the whistle tends to favor the Aztecs a little bit in Viejas, but I mean the
That's
home
life.
teams tend to,
That's
yeah,
life.
they tend to get the whistle in this league. It was something I talked about even going into the matchup, just kind of warning the fans, buckle up. It could be, one of those nights where it gets a little bit frustrating.
And you want to be like, you can't make excuses, for that. And as far as what happens, that's not anything that's a revelation, to anybody. And despite all that, we had our chances. And but with us fouling out, Patrick getting hurt, all that stuff like that, we just didn't have any depth there, and it got away from us really quickly.
No breaks, obviously, in this league. You get Utah State coming into Fort Collins. They're coming off of a nice win in Laramie. They've found a way to steal a couple of them now. What have you learned about this Utah State team, and what kind of stands out to you about them the most?
Well, they're very experienced in the sense of, their post player Ossaber and Brown, their point guard, who are terrific players, played for Coach Sprinkle for those years at Montana State. Clearly, I think that really set the tone for them coming out and having a strong year. Is they've got a terrific point guard and a terrific big man who really know how they want to play, the culture in their program. They had a couple of key guys that didn't play last year. A kid, Mason Falslov, who's a terrific young freshman who had redshirted and I believe missioned. I don't know that 100%, but
I believe
boy,
so
he's
too.
really turned into it to a terrific player for them. And Isaac Johnson, the big kid who was sitting out last year, who's come in and great job. And then Ian Martinez was a key 2-time transfer, that got eligible for them. And their starting group is really connected, played really well together. Although every style is different, I think, you see a style of play that's similar to ours in a lot of ways where they really share the ball well. They cut well. They're aggressive. They play inside out. And they really play well as a team. And, their bench has come on and they've got a lot of confidence in what they're doing, but it starts with terrific point guard play, an elite post player. And a guy like Ian Martinez, who's really an athletic, electric scorer. And they're a team playing with a lot of confidence.
Is there any update on Patrick Cartier? Do you know if he'll be able to go yet?
I would say he's questionable. I mean, the one thing about Pat, he's such a tough kid and, would want to go. I think we'll just kind of have to, literally play it here, see what he's able to do, if anything, in practice. And then we'll see, for tomorrow afternoon. Obviously, we'd love to have him. But it really will be a game time decision. But, if there's any chance that he can play, Patrick's the guy who's going to try to give it a go.
Yeah, dude's tough as nails. Was it an ankle sprain? It kind of looked like he rolled his ankle there, but I
Yeah,
couldn't
just
quite
an
tell.
ankle sprain. They got it wasn't any more than that. And I don't anticipate him missing a long period of time or anything like that. These things sometimes can be tricky, and sometimes you can get in a little bit of a stalemate as far as turning the corner. But if somehow I don't anticipate him missing a long period of time, which is great news.
I want to focus on the stuff that's bigger than basketball here in just a second, but just one question I had for you, and you've been honest about not following the standings day to day, and I think that makes a lot of sense from a mentality perspective. Also, they're going to change so much with all these teams beating each other. You really can't learn much at this stage of the year. But just how important is it to finish in the top five purely from the standpoint of avoiding an extra game in Vegas?
I mean, it's a huge deal. I mean, to do that. But I'll go back to really the only thing you have control over in the moment is the team you're playing next. You don't control any other outcome of any other game or what might happen. The only thing you control is trying to win the next game and put everything into it. And whether you win or whether you lose, you've just got to keep staying in that mindset, that way. But yeah, I mean, obviously you'd want to, and you want to finish in the top 5. So you have an opportunity to get it by. The Mountain West tournament's going to be crazy. But, there's going to be a team that doesn't finish in the top 5, or a couple of teams that are going to be dang good teams, and I think you see that oftentimes in these, because I think this is a high major basketball league,
Without a
and you see
doubt.
that, and you see that around the country in these other leagues, like a team that, wow, this team's an NCAA tournament team. They're not even getting a bye in their conference tournament, and so you just, again, of course, that's what you want to do. But I'm not even trying to deflect or being quiet. I just know from experience, you have to focus on what you can control. And right now, that's trying to put our best foot forward against Utah State. Again, you have no control over any of the other outcomes in any of the other games. And, even if you win a couple in a row, the next game's going to be tough. You can lose a couple in a row. I mean, the standings will continue to change until the last week of the season. I mean,
I
we've
assume
seen
that's the
that.
message to the players throughout. Just don't fixate on it.
You can't, you know what I mean? It's just like, you can't fixate on that. You can't fixate on any of that. If you just get, if you start focusing too much on the past, good or bad, and you're reading your press clippings or you're focused on that, then you're not ready. And if you start thinking too much about, where again, no matter where you are today, that can all change if you don't, perform well. So, that's really what you have to focus on. It's going to be a wild last stretch here of the regular season. And we just got to keep our head down and keep going.
Well, I certainly can't wait. I mean, it's been so fun in this league. The tournament's going to be a blast. These next couple of weeks are going to be a blast. But I'm really looking forward to tomorrow and the Fight Like a Ram event. It's become one of my favorite annual traditions, the players honoring local cancer patients. Just what has this experience meant to you personally, and kind of what have you gotten out of it these last couple of years?
Again, when we first got pitched this, and I really was like, wow, can you do that? Can you wear another name on your jersey? Can we? And well, why not? And as we did it that first year, it was an unbelievable experience. I'd never done anything like that. It was simply one of my favorite, if not the best thing we do, like, in our community. Um, and it's just really manifested into a bigger and more special event every year. And, in order to, I think our guys, and especially the guys who've been here for several years, and even the guys that, have an opportunity for the first time to do it, that's really meaningful to them. They really understand the impact. They're humbled by the impact that they can have on somebody who's going through this fight. I think it's so important. And listen, I'm the most competitive person in the world, and people who are around me know that. But it's very important to have perspective. And I think having perspective is a position of strength. I think that allows you to love and appreciate, the things that you get to do every day. For these guys, it's awesome. And I think that I always make the patients and their families understand it has just as big of an impact on us. And so really cool. The families and the patients that are fighting a much bigger fight than we are on Saturday. It's going to be pretty cool and going to be sold out. To just have an opportunity to be in that environment and do that is going to be really cool for all of us. So it's really special. It's really unique here in our community. And again, when I talk about team together, I just think it's really kind of epitomizes that, right? It's ground level, making an impact on your community making an impact on you, and everybody coming together and doing something really good. All the other stuff that's in the news today, that we can focus on, or getting upset about wins and losses, which is all real. It really puts things into perspective.
I really like the timing of the game this year. Just, I don't know. Obviously, the way the game played out the other night, that's going to be frustrating for the guys, frustrating for you, frustrating for the fans. But to me, this is being able to help, or represent the cancer patients is one thing. But I think it's cool the way the entire community comes together and just, like, represents something so much bigger than just a game.
Yeah, I think one of the unique things about athletics, right, is it brings people together. It promotes a sense of community that way, and the crowds have been awesome. And then how can you utilize that platform and that ability to make an impact? And I think this is such a unique way to do that. So I think that's really, 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 really cool. And all the, again, the good, the bad, the frustrating, the joy, all that stuff like that, it puts things into perspective, and it's going to be great. And it should be a great game too. High level game. Doesn't start today, but I feel like both of these teams, obviously, if it ended today, would have an opportunity to play in the NCAA tournaments of both teams that have had an exceptional season so far. And just like a lot of these Mountain West games, it should be a heck of a test.
Niko, I know you're a busy guy, so I'm gonna let you get out of here, but thank you so much for hopping on the pod with me. I always appreciate your perspective, and I'm really looking forward to tomorrow afternoon.
Hey, thanks, Justin. Appreciate you anytime.